The oasis is the only source of food in hundreds of kilometers of desert. Ernesto will have to start harvesting earlier than expected, before the grapes are ripe. Otherwise, there won't be a single bunch left.
These were bunches of ripe grapes, but they've been eaten by animals. Fortunately, the harvest is generous. We have to live off it too. Since it hasn't rained, the animals come down from the desert plateaus and seek food here. I don't want to drive them out or kill them. It's a natural cycle, and I respect it. Since I have a generous quantity of grapes, there's enough for the animals to eat some, and for me to continue making my wine. Cultivating a vineyard here is a real battle.
It was a battle that Ernesto nearly lost 5 years ago.
Those are all my vines to make the wine. And look, there's nothing left. Thank God there was no loss of human life.
Part of Ernesto's vines went up in smoke on the 23rd of May 2015, when a huge blaze swept through Los Comondú. In total, more than 16,000 hectares of vegetation were destroyed by the flames. Wildfires are a part of life in these oases, naturally exposed to high temperatures. But this time, the cause was man-made. More and more gardens are being abandoned. This dramatic episode caught the attention of biologist Aurora Braceda.
There
was a huge quantity of dry combustible plants, such as dry palm branches, which had accumulated on the ground. They are very flammable, as are the dry fronds at the top of palm trees. They can all catch fire very easily. And when the fire started in San Miguel, more than 3 kilometers away, the strong wind meant it all went up in flames. But while mankind falls short at times, nature is capable of astonishing resilience. The resistance and capacity for regeneration of this oasis is incredible. Only 2 months after the fire, I came to take some measurements, and I saw hundreds of little palms growing. The oasis was already in full regeneration mode. But the situation could change for the worse. If the orchards are left abandoned, the risk of wildfires will increase. The problem is that if such events occur more frequently, they could endanger the capacity for resilience of an ecosystem like that of the oasis. Ernesto's vines only just managed to rise from the ashes. This year, the grapes will have a special taste, that of revenge. The freshly cut fruit is laid on palm mats, where it will be left to ripen in the sun. In a few weeks' time, it will be turned into a delicious sweet wine. Ernesto learned his trade from his father and his uncle Virgilio. This winemaker is the first generation to have reintroduced grape growing, like the Jesuit fathers.
When we were young, we used to enjoy drinking wine. It was the only form of escape. There was no television, no phone. We could only read and drink wine. It gave us inspiration.
The reintroduction of vines could well bring Los Comondú out of a long slumber. Virgilio is now 83. His village has changed a great deal. When he came into the world in the 1940s, Los Comondú had a population of 2,000. There was even a jailhouse on a suitable scale for this little paradise.
We're in the San Miguel prison in Comondú. I don't think it ever had a roof. Once, they jailed youth for a minor offense. Then one night, he climbed over the wall and went back home to sleep. The next day, the sheriff caught him and fined him for a double misdemeanor, breaking the law and escaping. A few months later, he was jailed again, and he did the same thing. Except this time, he went home to sleep, but the next morning, after drinking his coffee, he quietly returned to his cell, and no one noticed he'd been gone.
Today, Los Comondú can no longer even count any bandits among its population. Only 400 stalwarts remain.
In my childhood memories, this place was full of people. The houses were all inhabited and families were large. There were more than 1,000 inhabitants in each of the two villages. Then people began to leave. Above all, many children from the village went to study in the big city because there is no higher education here. So people emigrated. They abandoned their homes.
For almost half a century, Los Comondú was like a ghost town. Old-timers like Virgilio remained. But the young who went off to study never returned.
Don't forget your gun along the way.
The years rolled by. Despite the reduced population, the oasis of Los Comondú is still here, in the middle of the desert. It has raised a new generation.
Don't forget to ring along the bell for stairs, son.
Fed on fruit and driven by the passion of the elders. But Los Comondú has not said its last word. There has been a stirring in the past few years. The Mexican authorities have decided to breathe new life into this oasis. The streets have been repaved, the Jesuit missions restored, and Virgilio has learned to cultivate the spoken word to capture the nostalgia of a bygone age and his hopes for the future. He has become a poet. This morning, he has been invited to read his poetry in Los Comondú's rebuilt school.
It was my turn to be born. By chance, I grew up among the date palms, with the blood of the Guaycura and Cochimi Indians running through my veins. I belong to those other Californians. We do everything we can so the young can get the most out of childhood. And we say to the young, let us get the most out of our old age, because however old we may be, we were also once young. Who among you, when you're as old as me, will remain here in Los Comondú? Little scamps, you're all staying? Then me too. I'm going to read My Village's Smile. Here in Los Comondú, we like to laugh. We don't like people who grimace like this.
And so the young will stay in the oasis. Virgilio is putting everything into the wine. The original production dated back to the time of the Jesuits. Today, Ernesto is teaching his son to vinify the grapes. He is due to take over the reins. But first, he has to stretch this cowhide, then fix in this wooden frame. In the air, the hide becomes rigid and forms a basin. The grape juice will flow through these holes. Here, everything is artisanal. Ernesto makes his wine by hand, or rather, by feet. Biologist Aurora Braceda comes to watch the process, which also dates back to the missionaries.
Hola, ¿cómo estamos?
Hello, how are you?
Tiempo sin vernos.
I haven't seen you in ages.
Have you come to help me crush the grapes? Don't you want to come and dance?
Dance a few steps? I really wanted to come and see this stage. I was wondering if this technique still exists. I love it. These are old traditions which date back to the Jesuits. Reviving this is almost a historical archive. I'm thrilled.
Es un documental histórico, ¿no? A mí me encanta.
Would you like to try?
Absolutely.
Claro que sí.
Of course I would.
Get right in the middle.
This is so much fun. I'm doing pretty good, right? It's not so easy.
Go on, dance. It's the dance of the grapes.
Yo creo que eso ya está, ¿eh? Muy bien, cansado.
That's enough. I'm exhausted.
Pero se resbaló.
It's overflowing.
Y aguadito.
It's full of juice.
Ajá, se resbala. Lo increíble.
The incredible thing is this cowhide acts as a filter.
Con la piel. Y sí le da un sabor especial.
That must give it a special flavor.
Orgánico.
Everything is natural, organic, with no pesticides.
Tradicional, histórico.
United, traditional, historical. What more do you want?
Sustentable.
Sustainable too, and delicious.
Y sabroso. Además.
From this juice, Ernesto hopes to produce 2,000 bottles this year, which is enough to keep him and his family going financially for the year. In Los Comondú, they live with what nature provides. It is this model of sustainable agriculture that Aurora Braceda wants to promote to defend the oases of Baja-California.
A mí me parece un paisaje espectacular.
I think it's a fabulous landscape.
¿No? Me parece
I'm a biologist,
espectacular.
so it moves me.
Pero además la gente.
But it's above all the
gente,
people. these inhabitants, their warmth, their ability to adapt, how they've learnt to live here. It's true. I've fallen in love. Aurora is not the only one to have fallen for the charms of this oasis. Every year in recent times, the 400 inhabitants of the oasis hold a wine festival. A jury of Mexican gourmets have come to award a prize to the best wine. Around 10 winemakers are in the running. From Los Comondú, like Ernesto, but also from neighbouring oases. His uncle Virgilio is in the audience, surrounded by his new fan club.
We're going to announce this year's winning wine.
The winner is Ernesto Murillo.
Muchísimas gracias.
For Ernesto, this distinction represents the triumph of several generations before him. He pays tribute to his parents, notably his father, Virgilio's twin brother.
You see, Pa, I succeeded thanks to you. I followed your instructions well.
You're a very good son.
I'm proud to be from Comondú and to see my nephew win this prize. You have to work hard to make this original, 100% organic wine. Give me some wine so I can go and chat to the girls. I soon won't have any life left.
By reviving this tradition of wine production, Los Comondú can hope to rekindle the spirit of the pioneers. The wine, this miracle that the oasis manages to produce in the middle of the desert, has shown the community in a fresh light.